I introduced today an amendment demanding the full release of the Epstein files. This is a question of whose side are you on? Are you on the side of protecting the rich and the powerful who've put their thumb on the scales of government to suck out millions of dollars while working class Americans suffer? Or are you on the side of the people? The Attorney General said on her desk was the Epstein file. And now she's saying, no, nothing to see, don't release it.
Well, House Republicans took that question from Democratic Congressman Khanna and said, we'll represent the rich and the powerful over the American people, because they essentially blocked an amendment that Khanna attempted to pass in the House Rules Committee that would essentially force the release of the Epstein files. So again, Khanna's amendment would have forced Congress to vote on whether or not the Department of Justice should release said files. And today, the entire House actually voted on that amendment, and we'll tell you about how that went down shortly, because that's a really important update to this story. But first, let's start with what happened in the Rules Committee, shall we? So all 4 Democrats on the committee voted yes. They wanted, and 1 Republican, I should note, voted yes on Khanna's amendment. 7 other Republicans, though, voted against the amendment, thus killing it, blocking it. Now, after the amendment failed, Khanna wrote the following. Rules voted 5-7 to block the full House from voting on my amendment to have a full release of the Epstein files. People are fed up. We are fed up. Thanks, Ralph Norman. That's the Republican who actually voted in favor of the bill, or the amendment, I should say. Need to put the American people before party. Now, 7 Republicans who voted against the amendment were Virginia Foxx, a Republican from North Carolina. You also have Michelle Fischbach, a Republican from Minnesota, Aaron Hochin from Indiana, Nicholas Langworthy from New York, Austin Scott from Georgia, Morgan Griffith from Virginia, and Brian Jack from Georgia. We're gonna revisit these individuals in just a moment, but before we do, I wanna stop for a comment, Cenk.
Told you. What did I tell you this time? Khanna, best guy in Congress. So look, I didn't start saying how good he was because out of nowhere, because I randomly liked the guy. He's not my uncle, right? As I used to say about Bernie. I started backing him because he's awesome. He put him to a vote. That's what I want. That's what we all want. Put him to a vote. Put him to a vote. By the way, if the Democrats ever get the House back, they better put the Democrats to a vote too, okay? I wanna see a vote on minimum wage. I wanna see a vote on paid family leave. I wanna see all these votes, okay? And I wanna see a vote on Epstein again if the Democrats are back in charge. Because conveniently, whenever any party's in charge, they're like, Epstein, what name so? When they're in the minority, they're like, what about Epstein?
Exactly,
right?
No, I'm so happy that you brought that up, Cenk, because I mean, if Democrats were so gung-ho about the federal government releasing the Epstein files, why didn't they vote on this during the Biden administration?
Yeah, so that's what I like about Roe, because he actually puts his money where his mouth is, or his votes where his mouth is. So he's like, okay, you guys wanna cut the debt? No problem, I got a bill to cut the debt by $12 trillion. And it doesn't give anything to the rich, right? It actually gives to the average American. And it doesn't take away Medicaid or SNAP. And you look at it, you're like, damn, that's good, right? He says, you wanna lower drug prices? Why don't we take Trump's executive order, turn it into a bill? That way the courts can't knock it down and we have lower drug prices. So when he does it on this one, it grabs a lot more attention because, Epstein, etc. But that's beautiful, you put him to a test. So now what happened with the Republicans? They failed the test. So they're full of crap, and they're now, all those congressmen you just saw there are on the record as protecting the child rapists who were clients of Epstein.
Yep.
That period. There is no ands, ifs, or buts. And like I said, if the Democrats are back in charge, I want them on the record, right? So now it's an easier vote for Democrats to say, yeah, sure, let's see the Epstein files.
Yeah.
But I'll give credit to Ralph Norman, the Republican who did it. But one other thing you should know about that, the reason they had to kill it in committee is if it gets out of committee, then they all have to vote on it. And if the entire House has to vote on it, then it's gonna get super awkward, as all of the Republicans who talked a big game through all those years are gonna go, no way, no, hide the files, right? A lot of them are starting to make preemptive excuses now. Sure.
So before we get to the full House, because this did make its way to the House, and the House did vote on whether or not the federal government should be forced to release the Epstein files. But nonetheless, in the Rules Committee, you have all these Republicans who voted no, 7 Republicans who voted no to block Khanna's amendment. And so you could argue that they're providing cover for child predators, okay? And I am making that argument. But on top of that, it's interesting who they're heavily funded by, where they get the bulk of their campaign contributions from. Let's take a look at AIPAC tracker, shall we? Where you'll see the list of said Republicans who voted to block the release of the Epstein files. Fox and Jack have taken close to $200,000 from the pro-Israel lobby. Langworthy has taken almost $100,000 from the pro-Israel lobby. Then you have Scott, Griffith, Fishbach, and Hoshin have each taken between $15,000 and $45,000 from the pro-Israel lobby. So, money talks, as we know. Oftentimes when we talk about members of Congress being bought, whether it's by pharmaceutical companies, oil industry, or in this case, the Israel lobby, you can take a look at the money, you could follow the money, and you can see how they behave when they're in Congress, how they vote. Now, Khanna's amendment, by the way, was brought before the entire House of Representatives today.
Before we get to that real quick, so if you're wondering why did they pay Virginia Fox more than the others, the $194,000? Because committee heads get more money because they can block a lot of votes. What I love about what Khanna did was they were trying to bottle it up in committee, but they couldn't do it. First he forced them to vote in committee, then the House overall. So, and the higher you get up, the bigger the bribes get. So by the time you get to the leaders in the House and the Senate on the Democratic and Republican side, then you're talking millions of dollars from AIPAC. So that's how this game is played. So
you might be wondering, well, if this amendment got blocked in the Rules Committee, how did it make its way to the full House? Well, Democrats actually pushed to oppose a procedural vote, and if their push was successful, it would trigger a debate and a vote on Khanna's amendment. It would also have sidelined the Republicans' legislative agenda for the day. Now, the vote is almost always a routine party line vote, with members of the majority party voting in favor and those in the minority party voting in opposition. It represents a last chance effort for members in the minority to try and force consideration of certain legislation. Now, you have a lot of Republican politicians pretending like they care deeply about children, pretending like they care deeply about issues like pedophilia, child sex abuse, things like that. But in the end, Republicans united and supported the procedural vote, bringing the final tally to 211 to 210 along party lines, clearing the majority threshold that Democrats were hoping to avoid. And so Representative Ralph Norman, who supported Khanna's amendment in the Rules Committee, by the way, voted with the rest of his party on a procedural vote. Norman said he believes Attorney General Pam Bondi has an independent party that's looking at it, which he called the right course. Interesting. Representative Michael Cloud, a Republican from Texas, offered a simpler explanation. Republicans generally vote against such democratic procedural motions, and this time shouldn't be an exception. They just get the added benefit of protecting their daddy, Donald Trump, and the Trump administration overall in this big Epstein cover-up. And Representative Tim Burchett told Axios, it's just politics. It's not about protecting little children, and that ticks me off. No, what ticks me off, Burchett, is you have an opportunity here to not go along with your partisan hackery and do the right thing in pressuring the Trump administration to release these documents. There's no rule, okay? God didn't speak to you from the heavens above and tell you you have no choice but to engage in partisan hackery to prevent the release of Epstein files. You made that decision, okay? But so in effect, this is providing cover for child sex predators. Congratulations. These people are total clowns, absolute clowns. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump was asked about the Epstein files again today, and here's his response.
These files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden, and we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well. and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release.
For me at this point, the real question is this. Is Trump engaging in this cover-up because he's in the Epstein files, or is he engaging in these cover-ups because he's worried about assassination? And I'm being serious. Those are the two options in my mind at this point. That was a ridiculous statement. What was that?
No, he doesn't have to be worried about assassination if the CIA, but that one's less likely in the case of Trump. But or Mossad, the Israeli government said,
we've never had CIA assassinate presidents.
No, I hear you. He could be concerned about that. But if Mossad, like Israel, tells an American president not to do something, there's a 99% chance they're not going to do it. It's not like Biden released the Epstein tapes. What was his excuse? What's the thing that prevents American presidents from doing what American voters want in foreign policy? It's corporate donors for everything else, right? But it's usually Israel, right? So it's not like they can't stop an American president, they often do. So I'm not saying that that's definitely the answer, but I'm just saying that that is one of the other options, right? So, okay, I'm gonna come to Trump in a second because that was amazing what he said. But on the House vote, I just want you to be clear. So for all the Republicans making BS excuses of, well, it's a procedural vote and we didn't want to change any procedures and stuff. Okay, well then Representative Mark Weezy from Texas is offering up a standalone resolution, and he's like, let's just vote on this.
Right.
Okay, no problem, no procedural, nothing, right? You know how many Republican co-sponsors he has? 0. They're full of crap. They're all hiding it.
It's amazing.
Okay, and all the big, and wait, are the Republicans more at fault here than the Democrats? Yes. Number one, they're in charge right now. Okay. Number two, so don't give me any excuses. Number two, Biden didn't go around going Epstein files, Epstein files. Republicans went around Epstein files, Epstein files, Epstein files, right?
Yes.
Now they get in office, they're like, what name so?
100%. Okay, and by the way, just going back to the procedural vote for a second, right? So the argument that they would make is, well, we don't want to give Democrats, we don't want to give the minority any type of upper hand as it pertains to passing legislation. What legislation? You guys already passed the only legislation you care about, which is tax cuts for the rich, mostly, okay? A continuation of some of the tax cuts that Trump implemented in 2017 that do benefit working class people. Some tax cuts for working class people that will expire in 4 years, because of course they will. What else do you have on your agenda, Republican Party?
Oh, no, there was
nothing. You already got your goodies. You already did right by your donors. You're not gonna do crap for the American people. Let's just keep it real.
And they couldn't take a quarter of a day to discuss the Epstein files and release them. They're way too busy doing absolutely nothing.
So busy.
Okay, so what did you guys pass today? What did the Republicans pass today? Come on, guys, you're a joke, okay? So now to Trump. So he's now, so he said it on Truth Social, we covered that. Now you saw him on tape. He's saying that the files are fake. That Obama and Biden and James Comey created a fake Epstein file, and that's what they've been talking about this whole time.
Totally, that's exactly what happened.
But wait, if it was fake, why did you talk about it like it was real? Because you were already president. So if you were already president and Obama created it, then you would know that it was fake. So why did you pretend they were real? But then later, your administration, like less than a week ago, said that they don't exist. So which one is it? Are they fake or do they not exist? What is this? This is like the worst lies in American history.
Sloppiest cover up.
Yeah, and he's so sloppy that, again, even MAGA and half their hosts are like, awkward, because there's no way to defend this. There's no, okay, then he says Obama, so he knew in his first term apparently. But okay, let's say that it's Biden. So if it's Biden and he created a fake Epstein file, took out the Democrats, for example, and just kept Trump and the others in it because it's fake, why didn't he use it? Like, I know if it's the real file, why Biden might not use it. CIA tells him not to, or Clinton's in it, etc. Right? But if the dossier is fake and it was meant to incriminate Trump and Biden did it, why didn't they use it before the election against Trump? None of it makes any sense. And by the way, I never thought, I thought Trump palled around with Epstein. I have no idea what he did. Am I positive he's on the list? No, not at all. I think the intelligence agency is the more likely answer, But the way Trump is acting makes me think that he's on the list.
Totally.
Because he's like, no, if you see any names on there, they're all fake. It was Comey, it was Russia hoax. Dude, you're in a cold sweat panic over this when you're not even releasing the files.
Can we just, and let me just say this, and then we gotta go. If it is true that Jeffrey Epstein was part of a Mossad or any foreign government, blackmail operation in an effort to have blackmail material on individuals in the highest echelons of power in the American government to ensure that our politicians do everything and anything the Israeli government wants, we should be furious about that. That means we're not free. That means we don't live in a free society. We don't live in a country where our vote matters at all, because no matter who you end up electing, right? The government is full to the brim of disgusting pedophiles that Israel and Mossad has blackmail on.
Look, whoever did this.
How does that not infuriate people? That's why people want to see the goods. We need to know what's going on, because if there's any confirmation that happened, first of all, think about how disgusting that is, okay? To, in some cases, based on the allegations, kidnap, okay, minors, young girls, and use them as bait to get blackmail on American politicians so Israel can get its way with what's happening in the region right now in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Look, the more this develops, the more I'm starting to believe that theory, because the people who love to defend Israel, they're panicking the most about the Epstein files getting released. Okay, they're the first, they're the most eager to just believe the lies coming out of the Trump administration about, the Epstein files not existing and all the other BS we've gotten from them so far. There's something really weird going on here. And if you're an American who takes pride in living in a democracy and a free society, you should be concerned if this is what's going on, because that means you have a foreign country dictating our foreign policy.
Yeah, so look guys, I got an interesting theory on that in a second. But I've got it, so number one, to Anna's point, I mean, it doesn't get any worse than this. Whoever did this is purposely knew they were going to have rich and powerful men rape underage American girls so that agency can have more power. Could be the CIA, for example. If the CIA did that, they have betrayed the American people at a level that is unforgivable, okay? To say, we're pretending to serve America, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna use American girls as rape fodder. So if the CIA did that, we should all be furious at that agency. If another government did that, funding them, are you kidding me? Like, we should consider going to war against a country like that.
I mean,
okay, so we're not gonna do that. I know us, we're not, and we should, forget it, I don't want war. My point is not that we do go to war. My point is that country, if it's a different country, has betrayed us beyond measure, okay? And so, all right, now, number two, Republicans, you're telling me that the rape of those girls, we can't find out anyone who did it, because of procedure? Because you were gonna lose a half a day or a quarter of a day on a procedural vote? So we can't find out who did it. Okay, they have not prosecuted a single person outside of Epstein and Maxwell.
Yep.
Not one, but we know Prince Andrew did it. We know so many other people. There's hundreds of victims. So now people are saying there's thousands of victims, over 1,000 girls. Man, is Epstein that prolific? No, there's other people. We know there's other people. So as the government keeps telling us, yeah, there's other people. Yeah, they raped those girls. So what? We're gonna cover up for them. And then they go, why are you guys so mad? All right, and lastly, look at think about what Trump just did. When Ghislaine Maxwell is gonna go back up to appeal her case. When she goes to appeal her case, her lawyers are gonna say, Your Honor, the President of the United States that has all of the evidence at his disposal said the entire case is fake. You gotta let me go. And if any future government goes to prosecute the guys who actually did it, they're all gonna say, what do you mean? The president said all the evidence is fake. The president said all the evidence is fake. Now they're all gonna get out of jail free card. And now my wild theory. What changed was Trump? Because Trump never acted panicked about the list before. So he's acting panicked now. Who recently visited Trump? Oh, right, Netanyahu just came to town. And Trump's message about the Epstein files changed dramatically after Netanyahu came to town.
I mean, the message changed dramatically the day before he was set to meet with Netanyahu.
So, like now we're getting into wild theories, but they're forcing us.
How are they wild?
Because they won't tell us what the truth. No, this portion, because look, what did Netanyahu tell him? Because it's not like he can just order Trump, because remember, Trump said no to further bombing of Iran when Israel
and the Houthis.
And the Houthis, right? So he defied Netanyahu a bunch of times, and we gave him credit for that.
That's why I don't think his name is in the files, to be honest.
That's why I thought his name wasn't on the files.
Yeah.
So, but then Netanyahu comes to visit, and all of a sudden Trump's in a panic over his name being in the files. What if Trump didn't realize that they had tape on him?
I don't know.
And then Netanyahu comes and goes, hey, you wanna see a piece of tape I just brought with me?
A country where its people do not trust the government, its institutions, is a disaster, okay? And it's hard to trust, especially the federal government at this very moment, given what appears to be a cover-up, okay, period.
Not appears to be, it's definitely a cover-up. The only question is who's covering it up for
what reason?
For what reason?
Exactly. Now, final thing that I'll note, this just developed. So apparently Thomas Massie, who's a libertarian, but obviously oftentimes votes with Republicans, just posted this on X saying that Ro Khanna posted this on X saying that he and Thomas Massie are introducing the Epstein Files Transparency Act, a bipartisan bill to require the Attorney General to release the files within 30 days. So Massie is working on the rule. I mean, we'll see where that lands, but now we have two different votes in which Republicans have blocked an effort to release the Epstein files.
And what do we tell you all along? The two honest guys in Congress, Ro Khanna and Tom Massie, one a Democrat, the other a Republican. And by implication, by the way, you almost can't trust anyone else in Congress. Like they're all sitting on their ass while Ro Khanna and Tom Massie introduce like half the bills that we talk about and 100% of the bills that the American people agree with.
Right.
The ones that give away everything to the donor class, everybody else in Congress handles. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.